video, we have already gone through the Human Genome Project, its salient features, the various goals of Human Genome Project. So today we will go through the methodologies which were used in the Human Genome Project. Now, the Human Genome Project actually had two approaches. That the first one was to identify all the genes which were expressed in the RNA, that means in the transcription level, okay, and these were referred to as expressed sequence tags, that is the ESTs. And the second approach was the sequence annotation, that means simply sequencing the whole genome that contained all the coding as well as the non-coding sequences, which were later assigned in the different regions with their specific functions, right? So ESTs were really important because they actually contain the genes which were finally transcribed to proteins and they were expressed. So, for sequencing, the total DNA from a cell was isolated and was converted into random fragments, but relatively they were of smaller size, right? But these fragments were then cloned, that means a replica was produced inside the suitable host, which were called the vectors, about which you will go through in details in the chapter biotechnology. And the common vectors used by the scientists were the BAC and the YAC. The BAC stands for the bacterial artificial chromosome and the YAC stands for yeast artificial chromosome. Now, then these fragments were then sequenced using automated DNA sequencers which worked on the principle of method which were actually developed by Frederick Sanger for sequencing the proteins, right? Now, the fragments were then sequenced, and these automated DNA sequencers actually automatically put the particular genes in their order. These sequences later were arranged on the basis of the certain overlapping regions which were present in them, and the specialized computer based programs were developed with the for the alignment of the sequences, as it was not actually possible by people. Okay, now these sequences were annotated, that means sequenced, and assigned to the respective chromosomes. That means first the whole of the gene was isolated, then it was cloned in suitable host, and then they were put one by one, one after the another by an automated machine, and then they were with the help of computer based programs, they were aligned and put into particular chromosomes. Means these work were actually done chromosome wise. Okay, now the next thing what the scientists had to do was assigning the genetic and physical maps on the genome. I know the terms are new to you all, but these terms are detailed in the chapter biotechnology. So just go through where these maps were generated using information on polymorphism of restriction endonuclease recognition sites. Now, polymorphism means poly means many and morphism means the changes. Okay, so when there is a huge chain of changes, this is known as the polymorphism. And restriction endonuclease refers to as molecular scissors which actually cut the DNA molecule. That means restriction endonucleases are also a bunch of sequences which actually help to cut the DNA molecule. They are not actually like the scissors, but biologically they are termed as scissors, molecular scissors, because they help in cutting the DNA. Practically, a particular group of sequences actually cut another group of sequences. This is actually what molecular scissors are. And the term recognition site is usually found in the vector, and some repetitive DNA sequences. These repetitive DNA sequences actually make any organism unique in their species. Okay, these repetitive sequences vary in number, which are referred to as VNTRs, that means variable number tandem repeats. And these repetitive sequences can be of many types. That is, these repetitive sequences are individually known as satellites. If the repeats are 2 less, then it is microsatellite, then mini satellite, and so on. They are termed in this way according to the number of base pairs which are being repeated continuously in a DNA. The repetitive sequences are actually not the coding sequences but the non-coding sequences. Okay. So next is the salient features of Human Genome Project, which we have already gone through, and we have already also gone through the single nucleotide polymorphism. Now we will start with the topic DNA fingerprinting. DNA fingerprinting is actually, it involves the identifying the differences of some of the specific regions in the DNA sequences which were called the repetitive DNA. As I have already told you, that repetitive DNA actually varies in all people, and which makes any organism unique in their species, right? So, and DNA fingerprinting is a technique of matching the repetitive sequences itself. Okay, now the bulk DNA, which forms a major peak, and the other small peaks, these are called the satellite DNA, which I have already told you. And the satellite sequences usually do not code for any proteins. This also I have told you, that the repetitive sequences, that means the sequence which are being repeated continuously in various numbers in various species, they don't code for any kind of genes or any kind of proteins. And this is a large portion, these repeats are a large portion of the human genome. Okay. Now these sequences show a high degree of polymorphism. That means these repeats show a huge amount of variation and form the basis of the DNA fingerprinting. DNA fingerprinting is actually nothing but matching of the sequences. Now when this is mainly used by the forensic department, that means in a crime scene, what actually the scientists do, they whatever is being collected from a particular area, they isolate the DNA, they break the DNA at particular regions with the help of molecular scissors, and they actually match these lengths, these fragments with the suspects. More number of the more number of fragments are being matched, and this is how the person with whom the more number of fragments are being matched, that person is considered as the main culprit. Okay, so this is the basis of DNA fingerprinting. Now now actually DNA polymorphism actually refers to the allelic variation that occurs as more than one of the variant at a locus with a frequency greater than 0.01 human population, and this technique was actually discovered by Alec Jeffreys, and he used a satellite DNA as a probe. Probe means the sample. Okay, that shows a very high degree of polymorphism, which actually is called the variable number tandem repeats. This technique involved the southern blot hybridization and the fragments were actually radio labeled, which helped in any kind of identification of the identification from the or distinguish from the sample and the suspects. Okay. Now, what are the various steps of DNA fingerprinting? Though you will go through in details, more details in the chapter biotechnology, but we had to brief a bit in this chapter as well. So, the basic steps of DNA fingerprinting involves the isolation of DNA. That means the DNA is being isolated from the particular sample. Then the DNA is being digested by the restriction endonuclease, and the fragments are separated by gel electrophoresis. Okay, and then these fragments were transferred to synthetic membranes like nitrocellulose or nylon, and then the hybridization was done using the VNTR probe, and lastly these hybridized DNA was detected by the process of autoradiography. Okay, now the size of the VNTR actually varies. So it varies from 0.1 to 20 kb. So as a result, what happens, the hybridization with the VNTR probe, so the autoradiogram gives many bands of different sizes, right, but these bands give a characteristic pattern for an individual, and these bands are unique for all individuals. That means each band will never, few will match, but all will not match for all individuals. Okay, so it actually differs from individual to individual in a population, but except there is an exception in this case. This is not applicable in case of monozygotic or identical twins. So you can see here the process is given. Now, what are the various applications of DNA fingerprinting? It has the application in forensic science, like solving criminal cases and paternity disputes, and it also helps in determining the population and genetic diversities, and it also helps to identify the human racial groups to rewrite the biological evolution, right? So we end the chapter over here, and if you have any doubt, you can ask through the comment section. Please put your attendance after you view this video. Thank you.